Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my new office. No, I'm just kidding. This is the van. Right. So, we had our first trip. That was started a week ago. We got back on Sunday. Because of reasons I mentioned in a previous video, I don't have much footage about it. I did make some video about the kids playing and showing you having fun on the beach, etc. And I have some pictures that I can show you. But I want to talk to you about the first impressions that we had about the van, the first experience that we had in a van. So it was the first time me taking a trip with a camper van in over 20 years. And it was fun. It was great fun. So a few things for those new to camper vanning out there. First thing you need to get used to is the fact that it's really small in here. Now, me and my wife were talking about it, and after 3 days, everything seems bigger. So when you first get in, it's like everyone's in your way and you can't move around, but you get used to it. You get used to seeing someone trying to get to the other side and realizing, okay, I'm in the way, let me get out of the way and let you pass through. So the last video where we picked up the van, we finished off with putting everything in the cupboards. Then I just preparing the van to go on the first trip, and then we realized it was already too late. So we parked the van on the driveway, which, by the way, fits like a glove. There is just exactly enough room on the driveway to fit on the van, which was, by the way, one of the reasons why I wanted to have this one. It couldn't be any bigger because otherwise it wouldn't fit on the driveway. So I parked it for the night, came down in the morning, and there was like a huge puddle of water under the van, and the water was just pouring out. I said, what the hell? So I jumped into the van to realize that the frost protection kicked in because it was like 2 degrees out here and it activates at like less than 4. So the fresh water was pouring out. So I jumped in the van, turned on the heating, made it so that it got above 7 degrees as quickly as possible, so I could then again close the valve so that that I wouldn't lose all the fresh water in the freshwater tank. So our first trip was to a place called Vrouwenpolder in the Netherlands, which was great. We embraced the camper van life, and so we didn't book anything. We just drove over there, found ourselves a campsite using the Camper Contact. What's the name of the app? Let me check. The app is called Camper Contact. Right, Camper Contact, which shows you all of the campsites and the facilities, and you can rate it. So I mean, it's quite a nice app. We got to the first campsite, said, okay, we found it. It looks nice. Went to the reception, asked, do you have some room? And I said, yeah, we have some room for a camper van, no problem. But then apparently we couldn't take the dog. So we drove to another one, which is actually closer to the seaside. It was a little bit more expensive, but in the end it was worth it because it was a very nice campsite. It's called the Zandput, which translate into the sand pit. It's like one dune away from the seaside, so it was nice to take the dog for a walk in the morning, and it was very dog friendly. So for anyone that has a dog with them, I can highly recommend that campsite. I'm sure we will visit it in the future as well. Also, the beach was really nice. I'm used to going to the Belgian seaside, which has these high apartment buildings in front of the beach. Here it was just nature, and they had a few like restaurants on the beach that were really nice, and also again dog friendly. So for anyone that lives near Antwerp and want to go to the seaside, it is a very good alternative to our own Belgian coast. We arrived, we picked out a spot, we parked it, we put it on the Milenko blocks, so the levelers. We put them on the levelers, which was well, to do it for the first time is a little bit stressful, partially because it's stressful to have this expensive van riding on top of these plastic things, and secondly because I have to communicate to my wife and she has to tell me how far I need to go, and that can be stressful as well. And every man knows what I'm talking about. So the first night, it was just me, my wife, and the dog. The bed is really good, really good. It's a bit firm. My wife was complaining that was a bit too firm, but yeah, it's a new mattress, so I'm sure it will soften up over time, and maybe we'll put on a top mattress. Maybe, we'll see. The heating was great. One of the things that if you are buying any van, any camper van, which with the Truma system, I highly recommend buying the one that has both the electric and the gas heating, because it's like a few dollars. It's a few €100 more, but most campsites will charge you a fixed fee for the electricity, and it was like 2 to 4 degrees at night, so it was quite cold, so you needed the heating. But the electric heating was more than enough to heat up the van, so we didn't have to spend any money on the propane to heat the van. So that was great. So last week we had a week without our kids, and so they were already at the seaside when we arrived there. They didn't know that we were there. It was a surprise. So we met up with them on the beach, and they were really excited to see us again. They didn't expect us there. And then we surprised them, like, guys, we're staying another 2 nights in the camper van, and they were really enthusiastic about it. Now, so we were there for 3 nights. The first night was just me, my wife, and the dog. We had a very good night's sleep. It was perfect. The second night, it was with the kids. And then we made a bed. Let me show you the picture. And it could fit on there. And then we decided, like I said in the other video, that we have enough room, in the bed so that it fits 3 people. So me on the left, on the left, because I'm the tallest, and the bed on the left is a little bit longer, and then my wife on the right, and then my youngest in the middle. Now, one of the things we didn't account for was that the youngest could not lay still for 5 minutes. The next night we decided, we're not going to do that again. So either the oldest is going to sleep there and the youngest is going to sleep here, or what I tried was we made the full bed here in the living room, and she's still short enough, and for some reason when she was lying here, she was lying still and she slept like a baby, and all of us had a very good night's sleep the second night. What else did we test? We did use the cassette toilet, only for number 1, no number 2, and we only used it during the night because, yeah, especially the last night when everything was built up, to get out of the van you had to do gymnastics. So once the bed was made, it was like, okay, we're all staying in here, and so we used the cassette toilet for that. Worked perfectly. We did some practice runs with the kids, like, okay guys, this is not just a normal toilet. You have to open the hatch, do your thing, flush, and then close the hatch again. Of course, the youngest, first time, you know what to do? Yes, Dad, I know what to do. So she did, and then she forgot the hatch. So yeah, we got it sorted out, but still, it's like, god damn it. Anyway. So we used the burners for just boiling water for tea and coffee. We didn't cook a hot meal on it yet. We did use the fridge. That's one of the things that we have to get checked out, because the fridge was cold enough, but the freezer wasn't. So we couldn't use the freezer for some reason. So they're gonna check that one out. Yeah. Oh yeah. And we used the hot water boiler. I did the washing up once in the little sink here the first day to test out water boiler. That worked great. I already got some subscribers, so thank you guys for subscribing. I love that you love the videos. I do my best to make them as entertaining as possible. One of them asked us how did we organize the van, where did we put everything. So let me show you a few things. So most importantly, we put everything in the kitchen. So we got the glasses here and the cups. We also got the bowls here, and then we have some sugar and some tea. This cupboard we use for food, like anything that doesn't go into the fridge, as well as this one. Even though we didn't bring that much this time. The first drawer we have our cutlery and some rags, and I don't know what you call these, but if you put something on a gas stove, you can't hold the pots as you would with an electric stove. And then the second one is we have our plates and the pots and the pans. This doesn't make that much noise when driving. The only thing that does make noise is this thing. This thing constantly makes noise, and the way you solve that is by you taking a rag, which you use anyway, and you just put it right in between there, and then it doesn't make as much noise as it otherwise would. And then on this side of the van we have cupboards. So we have some towels for the kitchen right here. We have the little fan I showed you last time. Here we have some games, and there were some books in there. And then I have all of the manuals that we got. By the way, for anyone that buys a van, because I was already talking about the fridge not working, the dealer put a note in here, and he basically says, look, you just bought a van, a house on wheels, he calls it. So you bought a house on wheels, and if for anyone that ever bought a new house or build a new house, you know that once once you get the keys, there are like 12, at least 10, 20 things that they need to fix before it's all full done. And he said, look, these things are built, and there's always something that doesn't work. So we have a few items that we need to have checked out. So the things that's on my list that I have to check out is the freezer isn't getting cold enough. That's one. And this cupboard is hitting the fridge. Then the gas locker, one of the locks of the gas locker is a little bit, it sticks sometimes and it doesn't work quite well, so I have to check that. The van comes with automatic lights, so the automatic main lights, they go on when it's dark enough, and if it's not, they have the LED lights. That doesn't work. The thing says doesn't work, so Vrouwenpolder said that they have to go to the Fiat dealer to get that checked out. And then the parking sensors, well, they work, they make noise, but they make noise even if there's nothing there. So they have to check that out. And what else was on my list? Oh, yeah. They put a button on the dashboard to activate the radio. So instead of, like in a normal car, when you started the car, so when you turn the ignition, the radio would come on, and if you turn the ignition off, the radio would turn off automatically. They put a button in between because most of their customers, when they want to use the radio even when they're on campsites. Now we use like a Bluetooth radio, and we stream from Spotify. So the radio is just there for music when we're driving, and mostly for navigation. So it has CarPlay. I picked one from Kenwood that has CarPlay, and we use it that way. And that for me is just fine. But that means that every time I have to not only turn it on. So what happened, for example, was I wanted to move the van, so I turned it on, put it in reverse, wanted to look at the reversing camera, and the Kenwood wasn't turned on. So push the button, wait a few seconds for it to turn on. It was annoying. Secondly, it would happen that I would arrive somewhere, park the thing, turn off the ignition, get out, come back to find that the radio is still on. So it could have drained the battery. Of course, we have the solar panel, so it's constantly charging anyway, but that's not the point. So I asked them to remove that and just take it to the ignition as in a normal car. I think that's it. Everything else seems to work just great. The one thing that you should consider when buying a van like this and not a full motorhome, one of the downsides, especially when it's cold, is the fact that you have the sliding door. The sliding door is great, and it's a nuisance at the same time. Because when it's hot weather, you can open the sliding door. It's a huge gap in the van, so it and then open up the the window on the roof, and it will just vent everything, and it will keep it cool inside. However, when it's cold and you want to keep it closed as much as possible, when you get out, you can't close it quietly. In order to close the sliding door on any van, you have to slam it. You have to put power in it. And of course, if you do that at night, everyone's awake. There's no way you won't wake up anyone with that sliding door. Yeah. You can get an electric motor on it. Maybe we should have. It was quite expensive. Maybe we can get it afterwards. I don't know if that's really necessary. Time will tell. So all of the lockers in the back, they just hold close. We didn't put anything specific in there. And honestly, for the few days that we went, it wasn't even filled. So to come back to the question that was raised in the comments of previous video was, where did you put everything? Well, this is where we put it for now, but I'm sure things will move and find a better spot for it over time. So the one thing that I didn't show you yet is the garage or the booth or whatever you want to call it under the bed, where you store like the table and the camping chairs and stuff. One of the reasons is because we just threw everything in there, and it was apparent that we need to figure out a system to better give everything a place, because now it's just a mess. And if you try to, it's just one big hole, and you try to put stuff in there, and some needs to be on top of another thing because otherwise it wouldn't fit. And it's just, I mean, I try to keep everything as tidy as I can. It's not working for now, so we still have to figure something out there. We did also test, and I got a small video for that right here, the pegs, the peggy pegs, which was really great. We only used one just to hold the dog for now. And my wife saw me do it, and she was like, this isn't camping anymore. This is just luxury camping, or glamping as they say. And then the one thing that we haven't tested yet is the awning. And I definitely should test it before we take it back to the dealership to have everything fixed, to make sure that it works. So I guess this was it for this video. We had an amazing first experience with the Adria Twin. I think we're very happy with it, and we're looking forward to our next trip. That is going to be end of May. To finish this video, I want to thank you all for watching, and the last words I'm going to leave to my oldest. Bart, take it away.
Yay!